Welcome to 28.5 Women's Basketball, where we explore a unique and authentic perspective on the women's game, break down upcoming matchups, and discuss the latest news and trends in women's basketball. We are your hosts. I'm Sydney Story, and I played basketball at the University of Tennessee under Pat Summitt.
And I'm Becca Goodman, and I played at the University of Notre Dame under Muffet McGraw. And we're thrilled to have you join us today. Before we jump in, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoy what you hear, be sure to tune in each week and don't forget to follow, download, and listen to give an assist and share the love. Now let's get started with today's episode. Hey, Sid, how's it going?
Hey, Becca, howdy, howdy. We are in the thick of it already. It's wonderful. How you been?
Things are good. Busy with, our work-life balance. We have adult jobs that we do in addition to this amazing podcast, which is a lot of fun. And also even watching more boys games this year, which is kind of interesting because I definitely didn't. I was totally tuned out of it last year, but I managed to grab a couple this week. And it was just good to see just competitive basketball all around.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been watching a little bit more of the Indiana Hoosiers. They've got like a completely new team this year.
Yeah.
With us living in Indiana and Big Ten country, it's kind of fun to watch that. And they've got a couple of players in their team that are fun to watch. Just a weird little anecdote there. I've been watching a little bit of men's basketball too. It's fun all around to just have the TV on, especially on the weekends, and just like a lot of people do that with football. We tend to do that with football earlier in the fall, where it's just next game, one game after the other. You just keep it on, and we're starting to do that with basketball, which is like so much fun. So it's definitely the best time of the year right here.
This is the time of the year that we watch college, then we watch WNBA, and then it goes into NBA, where we don't really watch a ton of that, but it's like nonstop, just one season after the next. So, hey, one thing I did want to tell you, I find myself almost getting confused or lost about where certain players are. Do you notice that we highlighted this possibly as being an issue? Not an issue, just something that it's harder for fans to be like, locked in bandwagon fans when all the players bounce around. Like these LSU games, I'm like, man, I forgot Malaysia or Fulwiley's on that team. Like it's just
so
I find myself unable to remember where people are all the time. And then when I see them, I'm like, oh wow, I forgot she's there. And
yeah,
I know that's part of our job as we're, doing this, but I find it hard to relate and really like buy in all the time when things are bouncing around. And I think that's just the bad side of the portal.
I agree. I find it hard to track also. And I think about players like Caitlin Clark, who did all 4 years at Iowa, and some of these players who will stay. I'm assuming Sarah Strong stays all 4 years. We don't know, but I'm assuming she stays all 4 years at UConn. Like some of these players who are really going to build this brand. Paige Bueckers was another one that stayed at UConn all those years. I think it matters, like from a fandom perspective, that they're consistently staying with one team. I think about Haley Van Lith. It was impossible to track her college career because she went to 3 different schools, and you just were like, oh yeah, I forgot. She plays for TCU, LSU, Louisville. Like I forget, it's just, so I am with you, but it's all the ancillary players. It's the players that like maybe are the more role type players that we don't talk a ton about. And you're like, oh yeah, that girl now plays for Maryland or that. I'm with you. It's a lot to track.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not alone. Misery loves company. So I found myself thinking about that over this last week. Like, oh wow, I forgot she was there. That's good. Oh yeah, she fits well. So
yeah, and we are constantly watching basketball. One fun thing that we did want to note before we jump in here is we had our AAU team's fundraiser this past weekend, which was amazing. It's like our way of giving back to the game, back to the community, developing players, watching them grow. We've been with this team for, what is it, going on 4 years now, Becca?
Yeah, I think
that's insane.
Yeah, it is.
So I feel like we've watched these girls grow up. They're like young women dressed up all nice and presenting themselves well. And that's what it's all about. Like we're trying to develop full package, total package players and able to raise a little bit of money and try to hit the AAU trail hard starting in March. Like it's going to be full on and it goes all summer. And we're just excited that we were able to raise some funds and support players who need the money to be able to do this and have the opportunities that we're trying to present to them. So ton of fun there. But anywho, we can jump in unless you got anything you want to share.
No, I think you highlighted that perfectly. Let's go.
Let's do it. Okay. So this week's episode, we've got 4 full quarters. The first quarter, we are going to highlight UCLA. They had 2 big games the past week, and boy, did they play well. The second quarter, we're going to hit some big stat lines. You've been living under a rock a little bit if you have not heard about some of these stat lines, but we're excited to highlight them because they are just pivotal to the game and really speak highly of these 2 players and some of the players we're going to highlight. Third quarter, big weekend games. It was a big weekend for women's college basketball. We had a game on Saturday night that was on Fox, so it's just amazing to see the different spotlights and media outlets that our games are being aired on, which is great. And then the fourth quarter, we're going to hit next week matchups. So again, 4 full quarters. Here we go. Why don't you kick us off with quarter number 1, Becca?
Absolutely. All right. So jumping into number 1, we're going to highlight those 2 UCLA games. The first one was Monday night. Number 3 at the time, UCLA beat number 6, Oklahoma. Some fun facts about this that I might have known, but it's a blur. Did you know that Lauren Betts and Reagan Beers played middle school basketball together?
No, that's insane. How did we not know that?
Could you imagine those 2 rolling up in middle school? I would love to talk to somebody who played them in middle school. I could only imagine the terror that was.
Yeah, like on the same AAU team or same actual middle school?
I think middle school. I think the
That's
same
so
middle school team.
Yikes.
In Colorado,
Scary.
which is why it's like even more insane to me that these 2 phenoms in the college game, the dominant post players that you will talk about and continue to talk about, the same team in middle school. Anyway, okay. All right. I digress. I heard that in the game that I was watching, and I was like, that's the most crazy thing I've ever heard. And I would have loved to play with somebody like that. Could you imagine, like, if we all played, you, me, and our AAU team in middle school? Whew, okay.
That's wild. What a fun game for them. I didn't watch this one. I watched the second one we're going to highlight, but that's really cool.
So going back to this game, initially, we would have thought that this would have been a battle of the bigs. Lauren versus Reagan, it would have been who had how many points, how many rebounds. But honestly, this was a guard game. And it's because the guards did such a good job of doubling down. I think Lauren Betts, it was like an average of 1.4 seconds that she had before she had to get a shot up when a double team came. And the same thing with Reagan. It was very much, obviously, the game plan for both these teams is to get it inside. But on the defensive end, the focus was as soon as that ball goes in, you're doubling down from the weak side to help provide pressure, right? So all in all, not amazing stat lines for Lauren and Reagan. Reagan finished the game with 7 points. She only took 7 shots, 14 rebounds for her. And then Betts on the other side for UCLA had 9 points. She was 4 of 11 from the field and had 10 rebounds. So again, these are the post players doing their job, getting on the boards. But the offensive end is where I think they were really challenged. And we know that. We knew this was going to be, even if they didn't have the double down, Lauren versus Reagan inside was going to be a matchup problem. And they were both going to be, out for one another to get a stop. So huge kudos to both of them. I know Lauren probably said, I think she mentioned after the game, it wasn't one of her best games. There's areas she can improve. So again, it's still so early, but to have a matchup of this magnitude so early on and to have lessons learned, I think is huge. But let's highlight the guard game. You've mentioned Peyton Verhulst many, many times for Oklahoma and how you were excited to watch her. She put up 16 points and was instrumental in keeping Oklahoma in the game early on. Now, where this game really got away from Oklahoma was towards the second half. And I just want to tell you, Sid, you were right. You were so right about Neepkins, the transfer from Utah. Holy crap. That girl is damn good. I'm talking pull-ups, clutch buckets, in rhythm, contested. I'm talking, she was so impressive to me that I remember in our first episode, you highlighted her. And again, a lot of times that's the difference when, you play at a school like Utah, maybe a smaller school that you're not getting a ton of TV time on, but stats matter. And she just brought that level of competition to this game. And I mean, she finished with 20 points, 8 of 14 from the field, and was basically one of the main reasons that UCLA stayed in this game, kept the lead, and then it continued to grow, and why they won 73-59.
Super cool. It's fun to watch UCLA right now. I think they're so well-rounded. Like, we're going to highlight them in the second game here, but seeing guards step up when posts almost negate each other out, like Beers and Betts kind of did. I didn't watch the game again, but it sounds like maybe they did a little bit. Having some of that guard play step up, that's really exciting for a UCLA.
And that's what they were missing last year, right? It was very much Betts and Rice, that 1-5 2-man game, but it was like, where's that consistency from the wing? And I will say Jaquez is there. Ledger Walker, she's a transfer. She's also the next game when you talk about, she hit some big shots, had some big points, and it's just like a consistency. So UCLA early on challenged in that first game against Oklahoma, but managed to pull it out and convincingly, right? It did seem a lot closer, and it was for sure the first half, but middle of that third quarter pulled away from Oklahoma a bit.
Yeah, and somewhat similar theme a little bit with it being tight in the first half and then kind of opened up in the second half was the second game we're going to highlight here. So UCLA, they had to play number 6 Oklahoma, the game you just highlighted, Becca, on Monday. They turn around Thursday, and they had to play number 11 UNC. So a tough week, and this is part of why we wanted to highlight them, is back-to-back top 11 games, right? It's not something easy to do on this from a scouting perspective, and you've just got to get ready to play against 2 really good offensive-minded coaches. And to be honest, UNC's defense looked pretty good in the first half also. But jumping into this game, it was that, right? The first half was very back and forth. I was looking at it like, whoa, UNC can hang. Like, I was very impressed with their offensive ball movement. Nobody was standing, really. I mean, they all were working in sync. I think it is a testament to the system they have in place, and we talk a ton about systems. But Courtney Banghart, her offensive system right now, a player passes it, they're cutting, they're screening away. Really, all 5 players are involved in their offense. And UCLA was switching up their defenses, right? Like, which is really cool to see. They might be in a matchup zone. Next possession, they might be in a man. And you really saw UNC very disciplined, especially in that first half. And I thought that they did some nice things offensively. Defensively, they were stopping folks. I think where it got away from them in the second half is, and where it probably will get away from a lot of folks playing UCLA, is how deep UCLA is. Like, how do you maintain them for 40 minutes, especially when you've got Lauren Betts down low? Kiki Rice had a huge second half in the UNC game there. It was awesome to see her step up. She had 15 points, all 15 of them came in the second half there. I just really thought that UCLA overall was the better team. They were deeper, but UNC really, and I'm trying to give them a little bit of love here because we might not highlight them a ton. We're gonna talk about UCLA all the time, probably, right? Like, they're gonna stay in the top 5. Like, if they're anything like last year, we're gonna be talking about them every episode, if not every other episode. But UNC is going to be a really good team this year. I think they are a ton better than last year. They're young. They have 4 freshmen that are worth watching. 2 of them are international players, one from Russia, one from Brazil, which is pretty cool. But they're young, right? UCLA, a little bit more mature now. You've got girls that have played in the Final Four. You've got girls that are getting a little bit older. And I think as UNC matures a little bit, and they're gonna learn a lot this year, they're gonna be pretty darn good. And maybe they make a deeper tournament run because of that, because of the maturity that's going to happen across the season. But all in all, a great game to watch. Like, I was stepping back, especially at halftime, I was just kind of assessing. It was one of the better games I had watched all season. I just thought that both strategies from coaches were solid. Both teams really disciplined. You could tell that they were trying to execute based on those strategies and plans. Like, it was refreshing to watch this game to me. And I think Corey Close does that with UCLA, right? I think her system is strong. We talked about, can some of these younger coaches that are up and coming on the scene maintain that? Watching them play this past weekend, I'm like, man, they're doing that. Like, they're carrying forward. They've gotten better since last year, which is really cool to see. I cannot wait until some of these bigger matchups when UCLA starts playing some of the top dogs, right? Like, that's going to be, I think, telling. They have a chance to really go undefeated until they play some of those topper dogs, but I'm looking forward to watching both teams, really. UNC, I think, like I said, has reasons to believe this year, which is pretty cool. Speaking to some of the stats here, so Lauren Betts had 20 points and 10 rebounds. I mean, how do you stop her? Like, they were going to her. Back. Oh, yeah. They were going to her early and often. She was drawing a lot of double teams. At times, North Carolina was trying to double. She was finding the open man. We talk about that a ton when we're coaching our teams, right? Like teaching young post players to recognize a double, recognize that opposite sweet shoot area is wide open. Like she was finding the open players, but also going up and scoring and just that big, huge presence. I mean, I think she's going to be so hard to stop for a lot of teams. And if I keep going down, I mentioned Kiki Rice had 15 in the second half. She was a little bit quiet in the first half, but really opened up a little bit. She had a couple nice pull-ups. She got to the rack with a nice drive. That's more of what they need to see out of Kiki Rice. She needs to be more aggressive. I thought in the second half, she really was. So something got into her at halftime, probably maybe a little chewing from coaches, who knows, but she really ended up with a strong game there. And I want to mention Charlize Legger Walker. That girl is amazing to watch.
I
right?
agree.
So she previously played for Washington State and she tore it up there, right? Like a ton of accolades there. Now that she's playing and healthy and playing for UCLA, like that girl is good. She is a heady guard. You don't see a ton of those. Like you can tell she's just her IQ, she's assessing the game. She's making all the right decisions. She's not like super flashy up and down the floor all the time, but like when she does have the ball and the decisions she's making, that girl's good. Like I'm excited to watch her. I think she makes UCLA that much more well-rounded and maybe somebody that you don't hear about a ton, right? Because we talk so much about Lauren Betts and Kiki Rice and everyone else. So that girl, I was like, she's gonna be fun to watch this year. Rebounds is something I want to talk to you about. Like UCLA out-rebounded them 46-30. And then if you look at points in the paint, 46-22. So I wanted to ask you about like, how do you stop UCLA and Lauren Betts down low right now? How do you stop that?
You know, I think Oklahoma had a really good game plan. You have to meet her early and often to keep her away from the basket. So it's not just easy layups in there. I know in college it was always, I had to meet them at the free throw line and start keeping them out from that point in time. But the second the ball comes in, that dig down from the guard is so important. And I'm just going to tell you, I can't emphasize this enough. A lot of my job, and I wasn't 6'5", right? I'm barely 6'1", was as soon as a shot goes up, you're not responsible for the rebound. You're responsible for getting Lauren out. You're responsible for, your job is to block her out, period. And a lot of times, I know this is going to sound bad, but if you're so far under the rim or she's too deep to where she has an advantage, even if she rebounds over you, you have to get that ball for an over the back call. You have to try to get her in foul trouble. And I think for a lot of teams, it's crazy to me to see some of these guards. And again, UNC is very young, but I saw them driving to the basket. Like she wasn't just back there with her hand cocked back, like ready to swipe it, right? It's kind of crazy to me where you really have to attack her body and get her up in the air. And it doesn't happen often because she's just so big and so versatile that she's pretty disciplined. But I think how you stop her is you meet her early and often, you push her out, you try to make her uncomfortable with a double team, even a triple team when she gets it inside. And the second a ball goes up, you got to get her out.
Yeah, I mean, she's 6'7".
I know, it's hard. It's kind of like playing Brittany Griner. Like, honestly.
It really is.
It wasn't successful, but we tried it, right? Like,
yeah. And I mean, give Corey Close credit. They're getting her the ball, and absolutely they should. I mean, that girl, she's got the body for it, and she finishes around the basket. And like I said, she's able to dish and make the right passes when she's doubled and tripled. So UCLA, here to stay. I think that's the theme with them.
One thing I just did want to highlight on UNC's side is, you know, we talk about players transferring and not really knowing where they came from or if they're a role player, but Elena Arnisolo from UNC, number 17, she was previously on UCLA's team last year. So she played in 3 games, averaged, you know, shorter minutes, obviously. But I just want to highlight that it's so much more about the fit, not so much where you go and the names that are there and what you can get. I mean, because she played against her former team. She put up 13. She played 36 minutes. She's obviously a huge impact player. And as a sophomore, I think not only was that a super smart change for her, but I think she's going to be successful there and get her game to grow. She's also from Helsinki, Finland. Fun fact.
There you go. That's pretty cool. All right. You want to take us right into our second quarter here?
Yeah. Let's jump into that second quarter where it's big stat lines and bulletin board material. I thought that was a fitting title for this. You highlighted it well in our start of our episode. We have two standout players for two different reasons. Hannah Hidalgo from Notre Dame. They had a win over Akron earlier this week, a score of 85-58. Now, Hannah's stat line in this is clearly what we're going to talk about. And as you mentioned, if you haven't heard any of this, you're living under a rock, or we'll just highlight it even louder for you. Hannah finished the game, now bear with me, 44 points, which is a new program record at Notre Dame, most points in a game. 16 steals, which is a new NCAA women's basketball D1 record. 8 rebounds, 4 assists, and she only played 28 minutes.
Cray.
Pretty insane. I just think, she was all over the place. She obviously loves playing defense. That's her bread and butter. Defense is all heart. We try to, you can teach it, but you really can't. A player just has to have that mindset that they want to play defense and lock up. And when she sees 1, 2, 3 steals, she's going to go get more. And how many more? 16. Exactly.
That's absolutely nuts. And I think about this. We mentioned this last year. I always go back to like playground rules, right? And it's like, if you had to pick 5 or 4 girls or 5 girls with 1 sub, whatever, you had to pick a team. You're out in the playground. You're trying to play 5-on-5. And you can pick across anyone in the country in women's college basketball right now. Hannah Hidalgo would be a lot of people's first pick.
Yeah, agree. Completely.
A lot of people. Because she plays on both ends, right? Like, you're going to get 16 steals in 28 minutes. Like, and she consistently does this stuff. Like, it's absolutely insane. It's not like every other game she kind of, is flashy. She, on every single possession, plays so hard. And it just so happens that little Akron didn't have enough to hold back there.
Yeah, no, I agree. Jumping into the second player we wanted to highlight. And Sid, this is so funny because you and I remember bringing this up to you when we were just prepping for our last week episode. I was like, man, Iowa State and my girl Audi Crooks, we highlighted her a ton last year, but I was like, we haven't really seen them on, any of the rankings, any of the creating any buzz or any noise. But I will tell you, Audi Crooks went out and did her thing. They played Valpo, where they ended up beating them as well. But Audi Crooks had 43 points and 7 rebounds in 19 minutes, not even a whole half of a game. No other player has had 43 points in 19 minutes in NCAA women's D1 history.
It's speechless, right? Like, how do you even do this? It's nuts.
I think it's wild.
Yeah, her ability to finish around the basket is just, she's a walking bucket, basically.
Yeah, I think Hannah has, the program record for points, the steals NCAA D1 record. Audi has the most points in the least amount of minutes in D1. This is what the game has become, where women are just out here breaking records and doing it easily. Sid, 43 points in 19 minutes. Yeah. I'm just going to tell you, 19 minutes in a basketball game, if you're against a good team, that could seem like forever. But if you're against a bad team, and say you're that bad team playing Audi Crooks, that could seem like a lifetime, or it could fly by. You know what I mean? It's just, I just think it's a crazy stat. Props to her. Showed out for sure.
Yeah, Valparaiso, little Valpo gets a shout out for getting beat up pretty bad. I don't know if the press is good there, but they got some type of shout out by getting smoked by Audi Crooks.
I think Valpo will work on their defense, and I think Akron, who Notre Dame played, will work on their ball handling and pass fakes.
There you go. See, they're learning.
I think it's fair. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's right.
The last thing I wanted to highlight is LSU, which, we harp on them for not really playing anybody, and then they end up having a great record, playing people towards the end of the season last year and doing pretty well. So again, they had some bulletin board material that was brought to them. LSU, number 5 LSU, beat Charlotte by a score of 117-59. Shout out for Wiley. She scored 22 points. And Anderson from Charlotte, she put up 27 points. But the drama before this started with Charlotte posting on their Instagram, on their individual player Instagrams, which have now been removed and taken down, scenes of them saying, with their Charlotte merch, else who, win, lose, or draw, we're here to make a statement. They're dancing because LSU finna play some competition. So obviously, this is material that imagine, Sid, you're at Tennessee, people are talking smack before they play you, and you're just sharing that amongst your team. At this point, your coaches, I can't tell you how many times Coach Sip at Notre Dame found something on social media and printed it and posted it on our board in our locker room, and it was there for the whole week leading up to the game, just so we could see it, just so they could remind us. So imagine, what do you think your response would be if the team coming in to play you, and it's Charlotte, is on social media saying these things and making videos and
it's fuel for the fire, right? Like, you're already preparing to play every team, and as a competitor, you want to show out against every team. But when they're talking smack, like they're gonna even compete with you, like let's just talk about the two caliber teams here. I'm not trying to dog Charlotte, but this is LSU, who's one of the best teams right now in the country. I mean,
number 5, yes,
they could easily make a Final Four, make a national championship this year with their team. And then you've got Charlotte, who has, I guess, a lot of gumption, and they think they're really good, but scoreboard kind of doesn't really back it up. Like, if you're going to talk smack like that, you got to at least try to back it up. And I mean, LSU darn near doubled their points. So I think 17 to 59. Wow.
There's definitely a time and a place for when you're trying to pump your own team up for a big game, but I just don't think you do that on social media where everyone can see it.
No.
Maybe you just do that in the locker room as you're trying to get hyped to play this game and then see where the chips fall. But shout out to Anderson. She was ready. She had 27 points.
There you go.
Highlight her. I will say, after the game, Kim Mulkey in the press conference was like, look, there's a lot of technical fouls that game. Normally, I don't deal with that. But there's a lot of drama on social media that caused it, so I let it go. Because LSU had 3 technicals and Charlotte had 2 for a total of 5 for the whole game. When have you ever seen 5 technicals? And this was all player-based, not coaches getting involved. And it was as simple as, if a Wiley comes down, hits a 3, the whole team is doing like arrow shooting towards towards the Charlotte bench. It was every time. So, got to put up or shut up, sadly. And I think the fact that Charlotte took the social media post down says a lot, but also, word to everyone else out there, bring it or don't. I don't know.
Totally poking the giant. Like,
yeah.
Interesting.
I wouldn't do that, but that's just us. Okay, Sid, last thing before we jump to the third quarter, I have to mention, did you see the Duke versus West Virginia game?
I did not watch the game, but I saw the highlight about what you're about what you're about to talk about. Like, insane. So go ahead, you take it.
Again, I also didn't watch it, and that's the thing. There's so many games going on that when you see like a top ranked team, top 25 playing, a West Virginia, maybe you're not able to catch every game. But when things like this happen, it kind of brings a different perspective to that top ranked team. So number 15 Duke took on West Virginia. They ended up losing 57 to 49. So West Virginia takes the W. But this is the interesting part. Within the first half, there was a scuffle of some sort. Players ran off benches. There was some drama, pushing, shoving, and because of that, 6 players for West Virginia were ejected. So not only was there a little scuffle, and this is, a lot of emotions going into this game, 6 players were ejected, and West Virginia finished the game with 5 players and still beat Duke by 8.
Crazy.
I really
Drama.
feel like Duke is not only struggling and forget the scuffle part. Duke is now 2-2. They're ranked 15th as of last week. That's probably changed since we woke up this morning. Definitely have fallen out of the top 25, I feel. And it's again just because there's players that aren't scoring. They can't get an offense going, and the name of the game is the defense. But again, I feel, and you've mentioned this before, is maybe they just don't feel that flexibility to create and really play. But man, it just seemed like a struggle.
To your point, like Duke really couldn't get anything going. It looks like I would check the box score out and I'm like, yeah, it's still the same old song and dance where they play great defense for the most part, but like offensively, that's their struggle bus. I think since Kara Lawson's been at Duke, that's kind of been the Achilles heel. And it's kind of a big deal. Like, especially nowadays, you've got to have players, and she does. Toby Fournier, we talk about all the time. Like, she's got some of these players that are capable of it, but give them the green light. So that's an interesting one. We'll certainly watch Duke again. Like, they are still a big name program. Let's say they fall out of the top 25 here. It's kind of a big deal, but it's early. We'll see if they can get some W's and bounce back a little bit.
I think I might be watching some West Virginia games. I'm going to see what they got. Like, they go after it.
For sure. All right, let's jump into our third quarter. We had a ton of weekend basketball games. I mean, you could have, like I said, turned the TV on and watched it all day. The first one we're going to highlight is a little tough. I know.
Do we have to?
The Lady Irish. We can make it quick. So Michigan played Notre Dame. It was a Shamrock Series game, which is so cool for women's basketball. And it was kind of rough for Notre Dame. I think that's maybe the best way to describe it, was just rough all across the board. And Michigan, kudos to them because they are a solid, good team. Like, Notre Dame wasn't playing a slouch by any means. We talk about their 3 freshmen that are just like stellar for Michigan, and those 3 really showed out. And Notre Dame really just did not have the bandwidth, the manpower to really stop that. So I thought myself that Hannah Hidalgo to start the game, I think she knows she has to put the team on her back. She is the bulk of the scoring for Notre Dame. She's the bulk of their offense, the bulk of she's the team to me right now. And I thought she was forcing a lot of shots early, kind of got herself out of the game a little bit on the offensive side. It looks weird for Hannah Hidalgo, right? Because usually she's able to overcome that a little bit. But at one point down the stretch of the game, she only had 9 points, and it was potentially going to be her first game where she didn't score 10 points. Right? She had been like all 70 games she had played for Notre Dame. She had scored at least 10 points, and she was at 9. And I'm thinking, oh man, is the streak going to be broken? But she did overcome that and was able to break that 10-point barrier. But it just kind of shows how much she struggled a little bit. And I thought Michigan did a really good job of like defending her and slowing her down. They were doubling her when they needed to. Like, I think the word is out that if you can stop Hidalgo, Notre Dame really doesn't have a ton of depth there to hang with some of these teams that have a lot of good players. And I think that's going to be a big problem as the season progresses. Maybe it's overcomable, if that's a word, but I think it could be the sign of times to come, maybe this season. And it's tough for me. Like, I live in Notre Dame country. I got my master's there. I still root for Notre Dame, but like, it was a tough game to watch on Saturday.
Yeah, it was horrific. Like, it was so bad. We knew when they added this game to the schedule, they added it late. It was kind of like, oh, okay, all right, we're gonna get tested here, right? Nothing like better earlier than late. But this absolutely was a beating of mass proportions. Defensively, we just weren't there. Offensively, we just couldn't score. I mean, Michigan's bench, they have 14 players. They played an additional 7 players off the bench, and they had 40 points, like 40-ish. I did some really rough math here, but it's either a little more or less from the bench. Notre Dame has a 1 or 2 maybe that they go to on the bench. And then again, a lot of the ones that they did play came in at the very end of the game with like a minute left when it was already way out of hand. I just think Michigan all around is a great team. Olsen's the real deal. Holloway's legit. They just have balance and they're disciplined. I think that's one thing. Just looking in contrast, I watched Coach Ivy's press conference after, and it was just very matter of fact, right? We focused the fact that we're a defensive team, and we didn't bring that. She had to call a timeout when they went on a 7-0 run just to kind of recalibrate what we were doing. And then offensively, she's like, she has the faith that we can fix those things. We have players who can score. and we just have to get better. So obviously this is a wake-up call. It's early in the season. There's a lot to work on. I don't doubt they'll get better. I do think this is tough coming from where Notre Dame has been the last couple years. We went in the portal and we kind of got some role players. We didn't get any big time players, right? We had girls transfer, people graduate, and we went to the portal and got some role players that now we're having to rely on to be those starters and be those stars to support Hannah, and we're just not there yet. I think game film doesn't lie, as everyone says, and I think it's going to be a blessing at the end of the day to just see how bad it was and go up from here.
What a rough drive back to South Bend. I think you and I can attest to what those the trip home can be after a butt kicking like that. So that's not great. I think if you look at it, I mean, Michigan puts up 93 points. They beat them 93-54. I mean, it really was a lopsided game. If you didn't watch the game at all and you kind of look at the box score here, Notre Dame has 9 total players. 9 people. Michigan has 9 people on the bench. Mm-hmm. So, like, what are your thoughts there, Becca? You're the University of Notre Dame. Like, to me, there's no excuse that you can't go out there and get players. And if you're making that excuse, you kind of fall behind real quick. So, like, what's going on there?
Grades matter. Eligibility wise, we just can't go out and get anyone. We have that school academic standard. That's kind of step 1. Step 2 is NIL. There's a lot of other schools that are rolling in a lot of money, promising a lot of things, and maybe Notre Dame's just not at that level yet where they have that influx of cash. And how crazy is it that we're talking like that? I to this day, I think it'll always boggle my mind that we're talking about, oh, we didn't get this player, maybe, and this is a hypothetical situation. We didn't get this player because she got this deal, that deal, and then her parents got this. You know what like, that's just, we're now talking more. This is more than NBA, because, you know, at least with an NBA player or a professional NFL, you give them the money, but you don't really hear about like the family side of the house as well. That's for the player to handle. This you're
a
hearing,
contract, right?
You're
like
hearing it.
Contract.
Yeah, you're hearing this now, and it's just crazy times. But I just think, you know, I'm not gonna say Indiana's the most beautiful state in the world. We have our it's not Cali, right? Like, so there's things, but again, that Notre Dame education is that biggest piece that I think is pretty invaluable. And if you get the opportunity and you can make the grades and play there, it can take you, it's a 40-year career after that, right? 4 years for 40 is what we call it. So I think it's a great university to have the opportunity to go and play for. It's just right now with the way the world is in the sport of women's basketball in general, it's tough. It's tough to get players, I feel.
Yeah. I hope they can figure it out, because just last year, halfway through the season, we're looking at each other like, wow, who's going to beat Notre Dame? To me, Notre Dame was arguably the best team in the country halfway through the season. I mean, UCLA hadn't lost yet. I mean, there were other big dogs in the fight. But Notre Dame, to go from one of the best teams, and they fell short last year. They lost earlier than they should have. They underachieved for sure, but they had the talent. And then this year, it's kind of like watching 2 separate teams a little bit. So I'm curious to see how Niele goes to work, how their coaching staff goes to work. She does have an experienced coaching staff.
For sure. Absolutely.
Carol Owens has been around the game for a couple decades at least, right? She was Muffet's right-hand woman. I mean, it'll be interesting, right? They've got a lot that they've got to try to develop with 9 players, which I think is just a little crazy. I'm just calling that one out. We can move on, and hopefully Notre Dame learns from it and they move on also. And it's the worst showing, and they just up and forward for Notre Dame. We'll see. The second game we wanted to highlight is the South Carolina Gamecocks, and boy, did they handle the USC Trojans. They beat them 69-52 on Saturday. Again, a good stage for women's basketball. It was on Fox Primetime Saturday night. Like, love those games for us women. And to me, like, South Carolina is darn good. They're not as deep as they were last year. It's noticeable. Chloe Kitts is out with the ACL. You've got Ashlyn Watson, who's taken the year off, kind of still recovering from her knee as well. So, and Malaysia Fawali leaves, right? So South Carolina is a different team this year, but they're just so good. They show up for these big stage games. And I think that's like telling to me, like, Dawn has her team ready to go. And USC is a great team. I'm not knocking them, right? We've already highlighted them already. Like this season, like they're good, but South Carolina maybe not as deep as UConn right now, but still very, very talented, very, very good. What were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I thought they just showed up. They just always seem so poised. They're a team that even if there's a run or a wave in the game going the other way, they're calm, they're composed, and they chip away, fight back, and they manage to maintain a lead and win these games. And it doesn't come without any drama or, stress. Dawn is on the sideline sometimes, just stomping her feet, walking up and down. But I think they really respect her reaction and know that she knows they can do more. They are better than this, and they handle it really well. Some teams, a lot of them would fold or, catch an attitude with a coach reacting to them like that. And I think they have a lot of poise and understanding as to when their mistakes happen, why she reacts that way. South Carolina is in the same caliber to a degree, I feel, as UConn. And those are two teams that their coaches really understand time, possession, score. Every possession matters, every score, every stop. They're just very knowledgeable. And honestly, when you're playing those teams, like USC's playing South Carolina, they go on a run, you might get one back, but you can't let them get that confidence, because once that happens, the style and the overall flow of the game has gone their way and you don't even know it. So I will say I thought USC played well in the first half. I thought they competed pretty well. That Jazzy Davidson got in foul trouble, so she was a little out of it in the first half. She picked up 2 quick fouls. You saw her and Juju have a moment on the sideline of Juju trying to hype her up, calm her down, which I think is just amazing for the girls' game, right? She's not out there able to play, but she's on the bench supporting. She's leading from the sidelines, and I think that's only going to help her team get better. But again, South Carolina is the real deal. They're gonna find a way to get a win, and I really think the loss last year to UConn only lit that fire even more so in Dawn's head.
Yeah, absolutely. And South Carolina returning players like Raven Johnson and Joyce Edwards really have become some of the staples of who we talk about with South Carolina. I mean, Raven Johnson brings a ton of experience now. Joyce Edwards, another year older. I'm excited to watch what they can do. Really, Tanaya Latson is the big wild card here, right? She only had 12 points on Saturday, but that girl is capable of dropping 30. So if they can get her ignited in some of these big games, South Carolina can hang with UConn. And to me right now, maybe the only team that can hang with UConn. Like UConn just absolutely annihilated Ohio State this weekend. I just think UConn's, again, in a league of their own, but we'll highlight that. They've got a big game coming up. But let's jump to the next one if you're ready here, Becca.
Yeah. So in Sunday's game, we saw number 10 NC State get beat by number 17 TCU 69-59. 10-point swing here. This was Olivia. I feel like this was kind of like the Olivia Miles show. She really brought her personality to the game. She started off strong, created a lot of shots, passed, moved the ball well, but also just was like a dog. She was out there just doing her thing, willing her team to win. I do think NC State's big three at one point, I don't know the final because it was like, ooh, at the time, but they were like 3 for 27 or something crazy. So again, we talked about NC State having the craziest first couple weeks possible, playing ranked opponent after ranked opponent. You worry about that short bench. They did go 5 players into the bench today, so that was probably the first time I've seen that many people come in from off the bench. They also got 10 points from Lunan off the bench. So I mean, I think Zoe Brooks just had a really rough game. She was 2 for 13. She had 6 points to finish the game. Jones had 0 points, 0 for 9. Pierre, who we've talked about, the transfer in, 4-15, 8 points. I just think they were tired. I think this was TCU's came in with just a whole different level of energy, and they really showed out. Suarez for TCU had 26 points, 50% from the 3-point line. I mean, it's always interesting. TCU goes out and recruits players and somehow manages to get them to play really well together early on, right? They come from all these different schools, all these different styles of play, but yet they are gelling and they're supportive and they're there for one another. You have 5 players in double figures here. In fact, they only go 7 deep, right? But they have everybody who's able to score. So, what did you think about that game, Sid?
I think TCU is here to stay if they stay healthy, right? You mentioned that they're not super deep, but they have some of those tangibles and intangibles that can carry them far in the tournament. I think for whatever reason, it seems like every TCU team the past couple of seasons, they like play with a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
He goes and gets these kids who maybe they thought they didn't have the best experience where they were at. He brings them in. He gives them that, oh, I'm your player's coach, lovey-dovey feel, and they just play like that. Like, super impressed with Olivia Miles, obviously. Like, she is one of the best guards in the country. She had 14 rebounds. I mean, she's, to your point, she's all over the place. Couple that with a giant post player, right? They've got a 6'7" post player out there, and they have some of the tangible assets they need to go deep. And I think, again, if they can stay healthy, TCU is really good this year, for sure.
I heard the announcer say that they are the tallest team in women's basketball, and that kind of blew my mind a bit. But it makes sense when you see the roster and you see the size of these female athletes. But when you're just matching them up and they're rolling the ball out there, maybe it doesn't come off that way. But the tallest team, pretty wild.
Yeah, I believe it. And Andrea Carter, who was helping call the game, which I thought was pretty cool, she had mentioned something about the TCU coach that he's trying to mimic what some of those rosters look like for the UConns, the South Carolinas, the teams that have really won a lot of national championships lately. And the two things were depth and height, right? And so if you kind of look at it, I mean, they're not super deep again, but they've got the 5 that are out there can hoop and can play, and you need those 5, right? And then he's got some tall girls out there, and obviously with Sedona Prince last year, I mean, you can tell who he's making sure he has on his roster: a solid tall girl and a solid point guard. And I think he's building his teams around that. So they're going to be interesting to watch all season, I think.
Yeah, and I think the players he has aren't one-dimensional. They're not like just a 3-point shooter. They're not just a point guard. They're just multi-dimensional, really versatile players that at any point in time, 1 through 5, can hoop and get a bucket. And I think that's what you really need.
Yeah, and not knocking NC State. I think they're a good team, but to your point, maybe a little tired already.
Yeah. How could you not be?
Yeah. I mean, TCU's probably been prepping for this NC State game 3 weeks now, and NC State's had to prep for back-to-back top 25s. I mean, it's interesting for sure.
Yep, without a doubt.
Let's jump to our fourth quarter here and hit some of the upcoming ranked matchups that we're going to see this week. On Thursday, number 21, and this could change, right? We're recording this before the new poll comes out, but number 21, Iowa takes on number 7, Baylor at 9 p.m. Eastern, and that one's on ESPN2. I'm excited for this one because we have not talked about Iowa at all, and Iowa's a fun team to talk about. They've got a lot of talent on this team. The Hawkeye Nation is like one of the loyal fan bases out there, right? So it's super fun to talk about Iowa. I think Iowa could pull off an upset here against Baylor. Out of all of these, I'm like, I would love that to happen for Iowa. I think it'd be great for the Big Ten. When Iowa's good, the Big Ten is obviously a lot stronger. So I'm pulling for them this year. I think they need to kind of have a bounce back year this year. So they've got to win games like this to really put themselves on the map. So what are your thoughts on that one?
I agree with you, and I'm excited to see Baylor against an Iowa. I think Iowa's style of play, Hannah Stuelke's still there, be Iowa and get them back on the court against some good competition where we know they always rise to the occasion and compete. I agree. I think it'll be a good one, potential upset here, but I'm also very excited to see Baylor. We've heard of them, right? They had some upsets, but again, to see them take on a 21 at the time, I think it'll be good.
Yeah, I think this is a big one for Jan Jensen too. Like, we root for her. She's a great coach. She's been around for a long time now behind Lisa Bluter. Like, we want to see Iowa stay on the map. So if they can take down the Baylor Bears, that'd be big on Thursday.
And both teams come in potentially undefeated. So they might have some games earlier in the week. As you can tell, we're talking about Thursday through Saturday games here. There might be some upsets earlier on that we're not highlighting, but we will definitely talk about next week if it happens.
Okay, so let's go to the next one here. It's a Friday game. We've got number 8. Again, the ranking could change here a little bit. USC plays number 18. Again, ranking could change. Notre Dame.
I don't think we'll be ranked.
We'll say USC versus Notre Dame, which is still a Catholic to Catholic, big game, right, for women's basketball. So both programs are very historic programs. That's at 6 p.m. on ESPN on Friday night.
Yeah, just interested to see how we bounce back. I think USC will challenge us in different ways, right? They're very guard heavy, but they're versatile. And we know from last week that we have to really work on our defense. So let's see how that goes.
Yeah, the freshman for USC, Jazzy, might show out here if there's not enough defensive oomph.
It's probably going to be Jazzy versus Hannah. So I mean, if it's at least if it's 1-on-1, I feel good about it. But we have 4 other players out there, so we'll see.
We'll see. And then also on Friday, number 14, which they might bump up in the polls here, Michigan plays number 1 UConn. That game to me is the game of the week, especially with Michigan this year. Like, never in the history of women's basketball would I have been like, hey, Michigan can hang with UConn. Mm-hmm. And now I'm like, hey, Michigan could hang with UConn, which is like, that's big for our game, right? I'm personally pulling for Michigan here, but I think the depth of UConn is unmatched right now.
I think it's going to be a good test. Obviously, Michigan's handling their own. They're beating good teams. UConn obviously is the ultimate bar. So I think playing them early to get an understanding of how they can compete. UConn is that type of team. Every possession matters. Every single possession matters. And they're just loaded with talent. So it will definitely be interesting to see how Michigan hangs with them, competes with them, and if they can provide the upset here.
So you're Kim and you're coaching the Michigan Wolverines. How do you stop Sarah Strong with your personnel?
Man, oh man. I mean, you got to double her, but then you got to double from a specific guard who is maybe not as hot right now. And you got to be okay giving up that potential for a shot. And if you do, who do you do that with? Who?
I don't know. And Sarah Strong,
she can shoot threes.
Plays. I mean, she plays like a guard. Yeah, like she went to work in the off season, so that's a tough matchup for anybody, I think, right now.
For sure.
All right, and the last one we want to highlight is a Saturday game. Number 23, Kentucky takes on number 22, Louisville at 2 p.m. This is a good in-state matchup. I love these. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to be an all-out battle because of that. Who are you taking on this one?
You know, I'm going to roll with Kentucky. I think Kenny Brooks, he's going to get it together. It's going to be a nice upset here. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, they lost this last year at Kentucky. I'm trying to remember, but with Georgia Amore on the team and everything, I feel like they lost it. So, and Louisville, we've talked about them a little bit, but I think they're still trying to work on an identity with that team. So I'm rolling with Kentucky.
I remember that game also. It was like an absolute barn burner to the end.
Yeah.
So that could happen again this week.
Yep.
It's a coin flip to me. It's an absolute coin flip. Like I could go either way on it, honestly. And I'm not like super partial one way or the other. I really think it's a throw the coin in the air and see who wins it type game. So that's going to be a battle for sure.
Pretty crazy, Sid.
Yeah, we got a full episode here. I think we did good.
Yeah, there was a lot. There was a lot to cover. That second quarter, some bulletin board stuff, some people getting kicked out, finishing the game with 5, and then just overall huge stat lines. I think that'll be the wave of our game. I think we have enough great players out there that this will always be a quarter where we have to really dig into some stuff outside the court.
Yeah, and we just highlighted them, a lot of good games coming up. So each week is just like, get that popcorn out. It's so much fun. Love it.
Yep. One after the other.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap today's episode. Once again, we appreciate every single one of you for tuning in and listening. Please like and download our episodes. That helps us on our end. We're not really getting paid for this or anything, but we just do it because we love it, right? But
we're not getting paid at all, Sid. We're not getting paid at all.
It does help us, to know who's listening, and we can regionally see who's listening and all that good stuff. So we really appreciate it. All you all tuning in, and make sure to go on and all the socials and like everything. Becca does all the content on the socials. So huge shout out to Becca there. And we look forward to talking to you all next week.
Sounds good. See you, Sid.
See you, Beck.
That's the 28.5 final buzzer for today's episode. Don't forget to hit follow and download on your preferred podcast platform to catch every play-by-play. New episodes drop each week throughout the season.
If you've enjoyed our courtside chat, drop us a review or follow us on our social media accounts where you can send us questions that may be selected for our Team Huddle Q&A episodes. And remember, from females who have played the game, the size of the ball matters.